My name is Hlumelo Ledwaba. Well, I'm asthmatic. So because I was asthmatic in the beginning years of my life, I actually lived in the Eastern Cape with my grandmother. So I lived with my sister, it was my grandmother and grandfather, and then that was us. And then my mother and father would like visit us. And that was like for the first 6 years of my life. And then we moved to Johannesburg. And then even in the Eastern Cape, like as a child, I don't like recall, maybe I did at some point, I don't know, but I don't recall speaking my mother tongue. I actually, like, as sad as it is, I don't have a recollection of it. Though I need to backtrack now that like time passed. I can't say I don't have a recollection because, like I said, 8 years of Zulu, you have to do orals and stuff like that. So my recollection of speaking my mother tongue is really bad. Like I speak it badly, and then that also I think contributes to that psychological thing. I know how it's supposed to sound. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I think if I started from ground zero, I think it would be a little bit better. Honestly, I do. Because if I started from ground zero, that means I'm coming from a place of, I don't know what's happening. It's like, if I start French, I don't know French. I'm not expected to know French. If I speak French badly, people are like, yeah, she's learning. It's fine. Let's help her out. But now there's a whole other layer that I know, like, it's like I know half the language, you know? Like I literally just know half of it. I know the listening aspect, I know the understanding aspect, I know the comprehension aspect. But then now the communicating, there's that disconnect. So now also people aren't like understanding of that as well. It's like, it's not that I don't know French, it's that why don't I know? So now, from that point of why don't I know, it's like, well, I still have this expectation of you, and in trying to help me, they don't really help me because also it's like we're not understanding each other in that same space. It's like, it's learning spaces. It's like understanding. If I was white, then people would be more understanding and like, oh, at least she's trying. But no, I'm not. I'm black. So people aren't understanding how did this happen to this black person.
Someone said that language is a fundamental aspect of one's identity, right? So how does not being able to speak Vernac affect your identity as a black female Ndebele girl?
Identity is a tricky one because from conversations I've had, I've always thought that I'm like only this other black girl. I'm this only black girl who doesn't feel like she fits into any box. I can't be a white person because I can't be a white person. I can't be any other race, but I also don't comfortably fit in the black box as well. So now I thought, when I was younger, I thought it was really just the language thing. But then also growing up and meeting other people, I also realized that it's also in mannerisms. So some people do speak Vernac, but their mannerisms also tend to other themselves, despite having the language aspect. Because it's not that you like other yourself. I think you are othered because it happens, like. But you are not of the same, like you don't comfortably fit. So I do think like down the line, I learn the language, but I still won't find that belonging I'm looking for because my mannerisms are different. Like I like Star Wars, and then I was like when the first recent Star Wars, so episode 7. I have to get that right. Episode 7. When that came out, I was literally like the only black female in there. So now it's like, as a black person, why am I also liking like this thing that is not supposed to be liked? So my accent will come into being. how I speak, where I went to school, how I think, how I disagree with people. So now my identity has been formed in other things, and now the language just also intensifies it. Does that make sense? So now it's like, she's all this whiteness and she doesn't speak vernac. And then that really gets people. It's like, oh, that's the kicker. I'm always worried about making friends. I've always been very careful who I allow to be around me. And I think this also has some sort of roots in this whole type of discussion, because I am really scared of how people will perceive me and receive me, right? So, I meet one of my best friends, Mas Chabi, actually, and we interact, and she actually asks, one of her first questions to me was, oh, so what language do you speak at home? And then I actually say, I tell her, yeah, I understand Zulu and Xhosa, and basically, I understand them pretty well. You can speak them to me, and I'll know exactly what you're saying. But I have a problem responding and speaking. And then her response was, oh, okay. And then that was it. She never really changed how she interacted with me, and I really appreciated that. And then as interactions grew and I met some of my more recent friends, I've had so many different responses to it, but as we got to know each other, I started experiencing how it is to be a black person and have that familiarity still within us, right? That how they interact with me, they don't close down, that they know I'm not trying to slight them by responding in English. I'm not a white person. I'm not trying to pull rank or class. I'm just trying to communicate in some sort of way. I love my name. I'm very grateful for it. And I just got a lot of questions that came with my name, right? And so I tried something out. I was like, okay, for some strangers, I'm not going to use my name, yeah? However, I decided to do an experiment, and I started introducing myself with a white name. So I chose something like Rebecca, okay? So now, two things happened, right? One, I'd get the gospel jokes. Marims, are you going to sing gospel now? And I'm like, to some strangers, like I would say, hey, hi, I'm Rebecca. And then they would assume I'm not Nguni. So they'll speak to me in Tswana or Bedi or Sutu, right? And then I would respond again in like English. And then they'll ask where I'm from. So, like I said, I like messing with people. So I'm like, yeah, I'm from Zambia. And then how they received me immediately changes, because now I'm no longer this child who's disrespecting them with English and not seeing them as an adult. I'm not the person pulling rank or thinking I'm smarter and better than them. I no longer carry these connotations, so how they interact with me completely changes. Now I'm just another black person, and they communicate to me as if I'm a black person who speaks English, and that's fine, and it's not a problem to them. And the interaction immediately changes. I experienced this familiarness that everyone else would have experienced if they responded to them in their language. To an extent, I don't blame people. Like, it's not their job to make me comfortable because I somehow failed in this part of my learning. it's not their job to include me and now just be so conscious of it. Because it's not that everyone's reaction is negative. Like, I don't want it to seem like, oh, they're like, ooh, ouch, demon child. It's not that. It's also, I can see it's like they don't know how to react with me. They don't know how to interact with me, which is understandable
because they don't have a familiarity.
Yeah, they don't have an experience. It's like, oh, this is something new. I don't know how to approach what is happening. So they can only base it off of their own experiences and their own understandings. So I really don't blame people about how they react to just my existence, I guess. I used to look for other kids. Hey, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm looking for another kid like me. It never quite came, but I don't know. I also guess that's a bit selfish because it's like, why do I also wish those children to have similar experiences to me? But the thing is, the solution seems so simple. Like, just learn the language and then everything is fine. And I think because the solution is so simple, because it is, on face value, if you think about things rationally and logically, it's simple. I just, I don't know, stop caring. Take a few classes, start speaking. Like, the solution is so simple, but I honestly feel with myself, I have to do so much work before I get to the simple solution. Like how you learn languages, you don't learn a language if you don't speak it. So if I have so much of an insecurity about speaking it, then how am I going to learn the language? Because now I'm insecure of how I sound like, if I get the accent wrong, now people think I'm dumb, and I have all these insecurities people probably have about English, And I also understand that those are insecurities other people experience with a language that I'm so familiar with, this language that has hurt so many people, right? So I think that's also what I say is also kind of selfish about me wanting to find someone else like me, because it's like, why would I also wish something like that onto someone else? Because honestly, I feel like it's no one else's fault but my own, because my parents speak to me. My mother speaks to me closer. My dad also will speak to me in his language. Like, why didn't I pick it up? Like, I asked myself that question. Like, why? And then it's like, when I'm hanging out with you guys and friends and stuff like that, everyone will speak vernac around me, whatever language they're comfortable with, and it's fine. So I asked myself, why didn't I speak it up or pick it up, So I do have these questions, like, I don't know. I also ask, like, what's wrong with me? Do I have a learning disability in this regard? Like, I'm at Wits Choir, I sing in vernac, it's fine. I don't know. That's why I had to come to the conclusion I have to do work before, whatever psychological work or whatever, which is kind of sad as well. Imagine, it's like I have a phobia against my own language. But we all have some broken thing in us. What's rattling? Achilles heel and all those vibes. This one's mine.